In fact, hold on a minute. Hold on. Right, wait there. Well, welcome back, folks. Welcome to the Holderness coast. Just south of Wivensey today. Conditions are almost spot on. We're in the middle of April. I say middle of April, it's like the 12th or something like that. It's almost the middle, isn't it? And yeah, it's nice to see the weather's slowly picking up. We've had a good week, I'd say, of settled weather. Obviously we had the massive tides in the middle of the week with the big tidal surges that caused havoc through, well, Humber, the Mersey, and various other places. So it's just gone low water, and yeah, I'm going to do things a little bit differently on the channel from now on, I think. I've been giving it some thought. I'll talk to you about it in a bit. I'll not bore you just yet, but essentially we're going to fish this all the way up to high water, probably a couple hours over high water as well. So a good 8, maybe a 10-hour session. We'll see how we go. Targets today is mix of anything really. Like I say, it's the middle of the April. The weather is starting to pick up. It's starting to get a bit warmer. It's been nice and calm. As you can see behind me, apart from a little bit of swell that's just building with these big westerly winds, it is nice and flat. So rays, bass, there's been quite a few bass starting to show. I'm not sure that we're going to get the surf to get us into some decent bass. Flatties, at the minute I've got a bit of an obsession with flatties. So the rod closest to me, the Air Power, I've got a big pulley panel on there with bluey and squid at the minute, and certainly for the next hour or so as the tide starts to push in, I'm going to concentrate on rays. And the rod closest to you, the Fury, on there I've got 2 up loop rig with size 1/0 hooks, and I'm just using fresh ragworm. We are going to mix it up a little bit. I've got some smaller rigs, I've got some bigger rigs. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be a nice relaxed mixed session. Let me just talk you through the bait that we've got today. So I am still emptying out the contents of the freezer, to be honest, from winter. So I've got a bit of a smorgasbord today. If I can get the top off my cool box because it's rammed packed. So let me open this up. We've got a couple of packs of blueies. We've got some cart wings. Hey! Steve's off the mark. So with me today, I've got on my right, I've got Mike from Mike's Rigs, and on the left, I've got the Northerner, Steve from Sparta Fishing. And yeah, let me just point out to you, I've got a bit of footage. I might have to voice it over, but I'll show you the landscape when we turned up. Like I say, probably about an hour before low water. So to the left, we've got a nice big gully, a nice big bay. To my right, there's a nice big bay. The gully runs in. I'm currently sat on top of the sandbar. The gully runs in around the back of me. So being the top mate that I am, I've put Steve in the gully on the left of me, and I've put Mike in the gully on the right of me into those big holes, and I've opted for the sandbar. So let's hope that pays off. But I am seeing Steve's already into the first fish. Let's see if we can get him over in a minute, and it looks like a small schoolie bass, which is a good start and top marks to me, because that was the one thing he said he wanted, was a bass, and I told him that we'd get him on him. So the rest of the bait then, squid. Got a couple of, a pack and a half of squid from leftover from, I've got half a pack left over from Mostin. I've got some, I think these are carp and squid wraps. Got a pack of sand eel, and then I've got some blueies and some herring as well. So like I say, a real smorgasbord of frozen stuff. So getting into the fresh stuff, called in to see Mark Tong, quids in bait and tackle, and got some fresh blacks from him, and also got a couple of pound of really good ragworm as well. I say a couple of pound, that's split between us. Me and Steve's gone off, so we've got a pound each of ragworm, some monster fresh dug rag, real lively so-and-sos. So hopefully getting some bass. Obviously it's working. Struggling. Steve's struggling to unhook this bass. Let's go and see if we can give him a hand, shall we? Lovely little bass for Steve. Returned to fight another day. And yeah, we've got a right smorgasbord, and I'm gonna have to move back again in a minute. So like I say, we're probably half an hour, getting on for an hour now into the flood. I can see Mike's already at the top of his hole. Steve's gonna have to move back in a minute as well, the top of his hole. And I'm gonna fish over this sandbar as long as we can, and then hopefully when this sandbar starts to fill over, be a nice bit of surf on it. Hopefully we should find ourselves some nice bass as well. Welcome back. Well, welcome back. We've been fishing for 2 hours, near enough. I haven't had a bite yet. Steve's had 4, 5 bass. Little schoolies around the 30cm, 35cm mark. I've just changed rigs, so I've retired that loop rig and I've gone super small. I've got a little Wessex rig now with a 3-ounce lead on. Put that on the Fury. I've got the power tip actually on the Fury at the minute, but it would have been a lot better with the standard tip. But I've literally chucked that, well, just where you can see the edge of the slick, where the edge of the surf is. It's probably 15, 20 yards out, something like that, if that. Small hooks, small ragworm baits. See if there's anything in that gutter now that gutter's filled up. See if there's anything floating around in there. And then on the pulley rig, what I've been doing is I've just been cutting some small little strips of that herring, I'd say about finger size, and I've just made up some little herring and squid wraps. Yeah, I've put that out on that pulley panel at distance, still targeting rays, but bass will take fish baits as well. Obviously sand eels are killer bait for bass, and that's where we're at. But yeah, so far really chilled out. As I mentioned earlier in the video, actually, let's talk about that a little bit, although that was a bite, so we might have to show you some fish instead of waffle. I think it's just tagged in the surf actually. But yeah, like I say, really chilled out session so far. The intent today is to fish all the way from low up and over high, and we'll see how it's doing. In conditions like this, I wouldn't have a problem fishing it all the way down, but we'll see how it goes. Just recently, not even recently to be honest, I did it. So through winter I was putting 2 videos a week out, and I kind of got into the habit there of trying to pick spots where I can fish a high water mark, I can fish a low water mark, then possibly get on another high water mark, and I've kind of stuck with that. So I know a lot of you comment, say, you know, I'm putting the miles in and all that. I am. It costs me a fortune in fuel, but I've fallen into a habit of trying to force myself onto marks, get 2 hours either side of a tide, and then sprint off to another mark, get 2 hours at either side of a low water, sprint off to the next mark. And to be honest, fishing has become a little bit, and not unenjoyable, but I'm not enjoying my fishing as much as I used to. Today I was going to try and get out to fish a high water mark on the river this morning after flatties. Like I say, I've got a bit of an obsession with flatties at the minute. So I was going to try and get out, fish a high water mark this morning, then race off to somewhere like Mappleton for low water, and then come here and fish somewhere for high water. And to be honest, I started stressing about it, getting all anxious about, am I going to make it, have I got enough time between marks, blah blah blah, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to rock up to a mark, I'm going to choose a mark, and I'm just going to fish it. and I'm going to fish it for hours. So yeah, and I do feel guilty. Part of me still does feel guilty, and I'm not saying this for any sympathy or anything like that, but yeah, I do feel guilty for you guys not trying to get the, you know, the mix of content and different marks and change things up all the time. But from a selfish point of view, I'm going to start doing more longer sessions. There's always going to be marks where, so say the Mersey, if I go and fish Perch Rock, you can only fish there an hour into the flood, and then that makes perfect sense then to go and set up somewhere for high. So there's always going to be places where I can do it and it's easy to do it and it makes sense, but there are going to be sessions just like this one where I'm just going to come out and fish for me rather than you guys. So sorry about that, but it's the way it is. Hopefully that doesn't sound arrogant and ungrateful. So on the back of that, I just want to say, as always, thanks for all the support, thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, thanks for sticking with me. But yeah, I think going forward I need to come out fishing more for me and enjoy it. Hopefully that'll reflect in the videos and you guys will enjoy the videos a little bit more. That might mean every now and again I miss a week, or I put a video out once every other week, because I can't come out for 8 or 12 hours fishing every weekend. For a start, it costs an absolute fortune. It's probably going to cost me 40 quid, 50 quid in fuel today. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to leave it high and dry either. So I've got loads of stuff coming up. We've got a couple of weeks in Ireland, we've got Lanzarote. I want to get out a few LRF sessions around, possibly down in Cornwall and places like that, on harbour walls and things. Anglesey would be a perfect place to go and do a bit of LRF fishing in the harbours, around the rock marks, and then have a couple of good sessions on the rocks. If I can put a video out a week, trust me, I will. But sometimes I am just going to say, you know what, I'm just going to come out fishing for me. That's exactly what I'm doing today. And I haven't got any fish yet, but I've enjoyed it. Right, well, it is 7:15. We've got probably hour and 3/4 to high water. Chris and Mike are just disappearing off. They've seen enough. They're going to go and try a different mark for an hour or two over high water. And I was sat here debating a very similar thing. Now, I know earlier I said sessions for me, I'm going to do a few longer sessions. On the way over here, I was going to head to one of the southern beaches. If you've been with the channel for a while, you know I do like my southern beach fishing. So I was going to head down to Kilnsea, Easington, somewhere like that. Now the weed is becoming a bit of a pain in the arse. So I retired, well, I didn't retire that Wessex rig. I lost that Wessex rig when Tronics Pro bloody snap swivel opened up on me again mid-cast, which is probably the dozenth one that's done it. Definitely into double fingers of bloody Tronics Pro snap swivels opening up, made out of chocolate. Hashtag never again. But yeah, the cast before that Wessex rig came back completely covered in weed, and like I say, I was only chucking it in short. I know I'm casting a little bit further than Steve, but I am mixing it up, and the long casts don't seem to be getting bothered too much by weed. However, the pull is getting really bad. So the Fury, I've got just a 3-hook flapper on there with worm baits. I've chucked that maybe 50 yards out, just to try and keep out that weedy bit. The pulley panel rig, I've got a bit of a wild card bait on there. I've got cartwing and ragworm combo on there at the minute. That's pretty much as far as I can get it, and it does seem to be staying put for now. But like I say, I am debating a move. Steve had a few bass literally as we got here, and part of the reasons why I do change is, one, to get videos and stuff, but I tend to always find like 2 hours either side of peak tide, whether that's high or low, is always the most productive time. So fishing the middle bit of the tide is a bit of a waste, and it's certainly proven the point here. So Steve had them bass probably within half an hour of being here, and then he's just had a doggy a couple of minutes ago, but other than that, neither of us had a bite. I don't think Chris and Mike have had a bite either. So what would you do? I think if I'm going to move, I'm going to move south, because that was where my heart was telling me to go earlier. However, my head is still saying if there's weed here, the southern beaches with this southwesterly wind are going to be even worse. Chris and Mike have headed north. There's reports of rays and stuff coming out a bit further north. So I'm not sure what to do. As you know, with fishing, it could be red hot here tomorrow morning. I could come here and blank. Tomorrow morning could be red hot. So like I say, I know there's a few rays come out earlier on. Mike and Chris could go up there. Blank, it could switch on. The sun's probably got about another half an hour left. So when the sun goes down, it could start to switch on. Like I say, we've got probably an hour and a half, 2 hours to high water. Yeah, what would you do? Do you stick it out? I feel like I'm committed because I said to you guys earlier, I'm just going to get set up and fish a mark. But I'm missing a trick. What do you reckon? It's a tough one. It really is a tough one. So I've actually just had a bite. Right hand rod. It's that Akios Fury. I've changed that now. I'm on 2 pulley pennels. And on there I'll put 2 of them massive ragworm from Mark. And just bound them on. So 2 big ragworm. Bent them in half. So essentially 4 ragworm on 1 big pennel rig. And now I've turned you guys on. It's going to turn to nothing, isn't it? As Steve mentions though, that wind is definitely dropping. It's an absolute cracking evening. Come on, fishy. Come on, fishy. Yeah, fishy, 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 fishy. Bang. That's not working. Maybe I'll go and sit down. I'll have 5 minutes. Wanker. Well, I thought I was finally into a nice fish. Instead it's just a nice edible crab. Not nice enough to eat though. So yeah, not a bad size at all. But he can go back, get off my worm. What we got? Yeah, it's a thorny that.
How many thorns? I've only ever caught
I'm not surprised. It's only a babby.
That's massive. Happy days. That's species number 3.
Yeah.
Bass, doggy.
Right, I'm going to come and move up here now.
I told you.
I'm moving up here. That's it. I've given him his spot for long enough now. I'm going to have to come and push him out. And I have to bring you over here because, well, you ain't seen no fish on my channel yet.
Lovely little bend it's putting in. Not sure what it is yet. Maybe a doggy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've just said to my lot, I'll bring you over here and show you some fish. And it just so happens I've picked the smallest fish you've had all day.
Hey,
And it's a doggy as well.
These fight more than what everyone lets on.
They're not bad, you know. The thing is, in summer when they get lazy, they just roll up in a ball.
Strong, and
Yeah.
like I say, I mean, I've caught maybe one back in Northumberland.
Yeah.
Very rarely get them. I got them at Dunstanburgh Castle, but on the whole,
Best thing to do, yeah, just wrap them up, because
because
if you don't, you'll be sat in the car later, and you'll be like, why is my hand burning?
like
And you don't see it, but they give you a right rash. But yeah,
we just,
there you go. That's what a fish looks like, everybody.
I don't know why we don't get them up our way, but
Do you want to take it and show you all lot?
Nah, they've seen dogfish before. Once they've seen one, you've seen them all.
Yeah, as long as they subscribe to my channel, there'll be plenty of them.
I was hoping for another bass, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and I just can't ignore it anymore. I've had to come to the other side of Steve, because remember when I said earlier I put him in that hole, I let him have that hole. Well, he's had what, 3 species now, and he's had, well, there was that middle patch that was quiet, but yeah, he's back into the fish now. So I've moved over. He was slap in the middle of that hole, so I'm probably, well, you can see his gear's there, mine's there, so should be just on the edge of that hole now. Let's see if we can't find the fish. It's sun's just setting, sun's just going down. It's a lovely evening. What are we at? Probably about 7 o'clock. I don't know where my phone's gone. It's probably chucked in the bottom of the box somewhere. But yeah, I'd say we've probably got an hour or so left till high water. Sun's just going down, it's just going to go dark. Steve's back into the fish. Let's see if I can find some, because I can't. Well, you've seen a fish, but it's not one of mine. In fact, hold on a minute. Hold on. Right, wait there. Just for the camera. What rod you getting all them fish on?
What they called again? Furious.
Is it? Is that by any chance? It's my bloody rod. I've put him in my hole on my beach with my rod, and I'm still blanking.
You're going to rename it the Akios Furious, aren't you?
Oh, I need to find a fish. Come on. Right, well, we are properly into the witching hour now. It is just coming up over high tide. It is about 8:30. I still haven't had a bloody bite. Genuinely don't know what's going on. I have mixed rigs up, I've mixed baits up. There's the baits that I showed you earlier, there is no possible combination that I haven't tried. Steve's had a couple more fish. As I said earlier, I've moved round onto his other side now, so we can fish into that channel and into that hole. Different distances, so the air power has got pennel on with squid and mackerel on now. That is literally as far as I can send it. The Fury has got a smaller pennel rig on, which I've literally put 2 blacks on, small worm bait, smallish worm bait, and chuck that in the bottom of the bank here. So other than that, I mean, we're literally using the same baits, because I called and got Steve his worm, which is what he's catching all his bass and his ray on. I picked that up from Mark, so we are literally fishing with exactly the same baits. It just goes to show how black and white, or day and night, or chalk and cheese, pick whatever phrase you want to use, fishing can be. You know, he's picked his spot, stayed in the spot, and it's fished quite well for him. I've moved around, I've messed around, I've tried different things, and so far it is not paying off. I'm not giving up. I've got food, I've got water. The van's just there, so I can literally get. It is dropping chilly now that now that the sun's gone in. That wind's picked up again, but I could get to a point where I'm borderline hypothermic, and I can just crawl my way into the van and put the heaters on. So I'm here for the duration. I'm here for the duration. I reckon we could comfortably get 2 or 3 hours down. And when I say comfortably, I mean it would be fishable 2 or 3 hours down tide. Whether I am comfortable staying out, it's got to get better, hasn't it? It's got to get better. But tip lights are on, headlamps are on. As you can see, the sun, well, it's disappeared. I'll keep working on and try and find us some fish. I've only gone buddy done it, Anna. I've only gone and done it. I know people give them a really hard time, but that's probably the most welcome dogfish. In fact, yeah, can't believe it. Like I say, they get such a hard time, but I am so grateful to see this little chap. It's just gone 11 o'clock. Well, the GoPro battery's died, but frankly I don't really care, because look at this poor little guy. Literally everything's packed up, look, rubbish is all bagged up. I was just about to bring in the big rod and I saw that knocking and I was like, no, surely not. And there we have it, one teeny tiny little dog. Let's get him back, make sure he goes back, because he's done me a big favour. Off you go, mate. Just make sure he doesn't get discombobulated. Seems to have gone back, but we'll just check this wave. Yeah, can't see him washing up anywhere. So I think he's gone back fine. And on that note, folks, like I say, I am almost packed up. I was on the verge of quitting. One dogfish to save the blank out of, what, 10 hours worth of fishing is just insane. But like I say, summer's coming. I could have quite comfortably fished today just in a hoodie. The weather's getting better. Hopefully it'll not be much longer before the smooth downs are in. For me personally, I am going to be targeting flatties and bass for the next probably month or so. I've got some new reels coming from Akios. I've got some new rods coming as well, so look out for them. Loads of stuff to come. So looking forward to all that. And yeah, on that note, what a day, what an absolute day. So I'm going to wish you farewell. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care and tight lines.